Discover the incredible moment when a billionaire's mockery was exposed by a touching surprise. Sarah wiped down the counter at the local diner, a small semblance of order amid the chaos of greasy plates and clinking coffee cups. The hum of conversation blended with the clatter of silverware, but her thoughts were far from this moment. Each shift tucked away the hopes she had nurtured for her son, Timmy, who sat at the corner booth scribbling furiously in his notebook. Her heart sank with a familiar weight as she watched him wrestle with his thoughts, battling the odds of his learning difficulties, and she questioned if her unwavering belief was enough. Timmy had dreams of inventing something remarkable, of stepping out of this town and into a brighter future. But the shadows of expectations laid heavy on his small shoulders, a burden Sarah desperately wished to ease. Every time she looked at him, a pang shot through her, a blend of hope and fear. What if they never escaped their circumstances? What if all of her sacrifices were for nothing? Her breath quickened as she absently poured coffee, the world around her fading into a blur. The arrival of Jason, the sleek billionaire with his mocking smile and sharp tongue, gave rise to something far worse than anxiety. It ignited rage. As he held court over the diner's patrons, deriding their hard-fought lives, Sarah felt her blood boil. She tried to push away the anger, calming her racing thoughts, but the man's condescension seeped under her skin like a poison. What right did he have to belittle the very people who built their community on grit and determination? Then came the news. Jason was attending the charity event they prepared at the diner. A chance to showcase everything they stood for, and yet, it felt like inviting an executioner to a feast. With her stomach twisted in knots, Sarah worried about how much of their struggles he would mock. But she couldn't show her fear to Timmy, not when he was so engrossed in a project he wouldn't allow her to see. As the day of the event drew nearer, doubt crept in. What if Jason laughed at Timmy's ideas? Her pulse raced at the thought. Would her son fold under pressure, just like Sarah feared she might? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Timmy fleshed out his project, pouring his heart into his renewable energy model made from discarded materials. The gravity of it all pressed heavily against her chest. The fear of his rejection loomed as colossal as Jason's presence. Each passing moment heightened the tension, considering what could happen when aspirations met smugness in that bright diner. As the night approached, Sarah envisioned Timmy standing at the front, the tremor in his voice fighting against Jason's piercing glares. Watching her son take that leap felt like teetering on the edge of a cliff. Would he thrive or stumble? Could this event be the moment they needed to stand tall against the crushing weight of derision? Her heart raced in patterns that escaped her control, biting into her resolve, uncertain of how it would all unfold. Fists clenched, she braced for the inevitable showdown, preparing for the storm of judgment that Jason would likely unleash. The tension surged and the crowd buzzed with anticipation, leaving Sarah aching for a glimpse of hope amidst the mounting pressure. Would this be the night things changed forever? The heavy breath of anticipation hung thick in the air as the evening unfolded. Sarah stood behind the diner counter, her fingers gripping the coffee pot with a mix of resolve and anxiety. Each customer that came and went was but a blur to her, all of her focus concentrated on Timmy. He was at that corner booth, his determination palpable, the quiet culmination of his thoughts and aspirations finally spilling onto the pages of his notebook. As she glanced over, it struck her how deeply invested she was in that moment. Timmy was clutching his project like a lifeline, every sketch and note representing the countless hours he'd spent pushing through the fog of his learning difficulties. But what if he stumbled? What if Jason's presence, mixed with sarcasm and derision, crushed his burgeoning confidence like an unwelcome wraith? Suddenly, Timmy's eyes caught hers and he offered a small, uncertain smile, a silent exchange of reassurance that sent a chill down her spine. In that instant, Sarah realized something profound: a clarity. This was not just about overcoming Jason's judgment, but embracing the struggle as they clawed their way toward something better. He needed to see his mother believing as fiercely in him as he believed in his ideas, a bond of trust that straddled the chasm of doubt she often felt. Though Timmy's project gained definition that evening, Sarah felt the weight of external distractions intensify. Laughter erupted from a group of patrons near the entrance as they caught sight of Jason's sharp silhouette sliding through the doors, and a hush descended over the diner. He was here. He exuded a self-assured charm, but Sarah could see that beneath the bravado lay a stark arrogance. Her instincts flared. This was it. The collision of dreams and disdain would soon take place. In her heart, she felt the urge to shield Timmy from the looming scrutiny, but she could not stifle his growth. He needs to face this, she mentally chided herself. What good would a world without challenge be? Perhaps a confrontation was necessary, not just for Timmy's sake, but for her own. Remember, Timmy, Sarah interjected quietly from behind the counter, whatever happens, you own your story. The mantra echoed within her, seasoned by hardship and resilience. She saw him nod, the flicker of fear in his eyes mingling with burgeoning determination. The room held its collective breath as she noticed Jason's gaze roaming arrogantly, as if inspecting an exhibit. Where most would see a chance to belittle, Sarah saw a pivotal moment. This was their chance to redefine worth through Timmy's ingenuity. As Timmy got up, holding his project with trembling hands, Sarah surged forward, course-correcting a lifetime of doubt. She took a deep breath, silently pushing away her fears, readying herself to support her son in the face of adversity. You've got this, Timmy, she whispered, her heart no longer a prisoner to anxiety. Timmy walked to the front, head held high, and she felt the tension in the room shift. This was the moment that could either fracture their world into pieces or propel them into the unknown. With equal parts dread and anticipation, Sarah watched as Timmy prepared to face Jason head-on. Would he stand firm against the dismissive weight of the billionaire's presence? Would they be able to transform this moment into an opportunity for growth, instead of letting it crush their dreams? The stakes were higher than ever, and as Sarah watched her son cross that invisible threshold, she couldn't help but wonder if the world was ready for the seismic shift they were about to make. Would Timmy's brilliance outshine Jason's scorn, or would the indifference of privilege extinguish the flame of his vision before it even sparked? The night was about to unfold in ways neither had ever imagined. Timmy approached Jason, the diner's air thick with a blend of nervous anticipation and the strong aroma of coffee. His heart pounded, each beat amplifying the gravity of the moment. He could feel the weight of everyone's gaze pressing down on him, but he clutched his project tighter, determined to deliver his vision. As he reached the table where Jason lounged, legs sprawled in careless confidence, Timmy remembered his mother's reassuring words. He could hear her voice echoing in his mind, willing him on, a lifeline in a storm of uncertainty. Timmy took a steadying breath, letting the fear wash away, leaving behind a fragile sense of empowerment. Mr. Fielding, I'd like to show you my project, he stammered, his voice quaking yet resolute. Glancing at the booth behind Jason, he caught the encouraging nod from Sarah, framing his courage in all the right colors. Jason's expression twisted from mild intrigue to overt disdain. What do you have there, kid? Another school assignment? He leaned back, smirking, inviting his entourage to witness the upcoming spectacle, igniting a ripple of snickers at the table. Timmy's resolve faltered for just a split second. Snickering faces morphed into a blur, and he felt the tendrils of self-doubt creeping back in. But then, an image formed in his mind. The countless nights spent strategizing, sketching, and rewriting his ideas. They weren't just scribbles. They were manifestations of his dreams, carried through a crucible of struggle. I've developed an app to help kids like me who have trouble focusing. It offers personalized exercises and rewards to help manage distractions. He explained, the words slipping out faster as clarity enveloped him. Kids deserve tools that make learning engaging. I think it can help in classrooms everywhere. He gestured toward the pages of his notebook that he held like they were sacred. A wave of surprise washed over the table. Jason's smirk wavered for a fleeting instant as curiosity intermingled with disbelief. An app? That new age garbage? He scoffed, his tone laced with mockery. You really think you're onto something here? What makes you special, kid? In that moment, Timmy could have crumbled. The self-doubt danced tantalizingly close, whispering that Jason, with his affluent stature, wielded a power that could easily crush his aspirations. Yet a deeper anger surged. Timmy had faced himself in the mirror too many times to ignore the truth he was special. His struggles molded his perspectives, not their judgments. I'm special because I understand how it feels to be overlooked. I know what it feels like to have people laugh instead of listen. But I also know how to push through that. Each word became a stepping stone, raising him a fraction higher above the dismissive laughter that had once threatened his voice. The diner's atmosphere shifted palpably, the laughter fading into an embarrassed silence. Jason's expression transformed from condescension to something bordering on respect, catalyzed not just for Timmy, but by the realization that he was not facing a mere child anymore. He was meeting an impassioned opponent aware of his worth. An inspiring mission, kid, Jason finally muttered, though the discomfort in his eyes betrayed his unease. Timmy paused, aware that a pivotal choice loomed ahead. He could either retreat and yield to the past or press ahead, reasserting his identity in this moment of confrontation. He could feel the power pulsing within him, igniting a conviction that fostered his courage. This was his story, and he could command its direction. You may have money and influence, Timmy continued, unwavering, but that doesn't mean you can dictate what's valuable. My idea could change lives. As realization dawned on him, Timmy took another step forward, sensing Sarah's pride radiate from the counter, enveloping him. The diner held its breath, caught in a whirlwind of revelation and tension. Would Timmy's bold declaration fortify his journey ahead, or would Jason's might still emerge unscathed from this confrontation? The stakes had never been higher, as Timmy stood at the junction of self-affirmation and societal judgment, ready to challenge everything he had ever believed about his limits. But just as the tension reached its pinnacle, a commotion erupted from the rear of the diner, a disagreement that threatened to reignite unspoken divisions. What could that interruption mean for the fragile truce forming in Timmy's heart? The sharp jangle of metal against metal shattered the anticipatory silence, drawing every gaze toward the diner's rear. Timmy turned instinctively, witnessing a scuffle unfold between two patrons. A younger man, clearly agitated, shoved a tablet onto the floor, resulting in a mix of gasps and murmurs that rippled through the crowd. Jason seized the moment. Looks like your app doesn't do a good job with social interactions, he quipped, a slight smirk creeping back onto his face. Yet, the defiance already kindled in Timmy remained unwavering. Despite the renewed laughter directed at him, Timmy's focus shifted back to the discord at the diner's periphery. Amid the unfolding chaos, feelings of anxiety tangled with a newfound determination as he clutched his project tight. What if there was a way to channel this distraction into something constructive? As voices raised and tempers flared, Timmy began to conceptualize the challenges many faced with attention in social situations. His mind raced with possibilities. If his app could not only assist with academic focus but also social awareness, perhaps it could touch lives beyond classrooms. The exhilarating slip of creativity ignited a fire inside him. Jason, he interrupted, drawing the self-proclaimed king's attention back to him. Imagine if kids had a safe space to practice those skills, a simulation feature within my app where they could navigate real-world interactions in a safe environment. They could learn when to speak up or how to listen. His tone surged with enthusiasm, no longer stifled beneath the weight of doubt. The abrupt shift caught Jason off guard, and the smirk began to fade as curiosity danced in his eyes. A fire ignited within Timmy, urged on by both defiance and ambition, forcing him to continue shaping his vision even in the face of skepticism. Kids don't need more distractions. They need guidance on how to engage. That's what I want to build. Suddenly, the scuffle intensified, drawing nearer, and it broke the momentary spell. Timmy's heart raced, but he knew he couldn't back down. The The very element that had hindered him, his own experiences and the distractions others imposed on him, had laid the groundwork for something powerful within his app. The realization struck him profoundly. Every challenge he had faced, every moment spent finding ways to cope with distractions, equipped him with unique insights. Jason's initial arrogance no longer felt like a barrier, but rather a bridge toward greater understanding. Timmy's thoughts bounced between tangible strategies and personal revelations. The hacker's mind in him began to devise a plan. "Listen," Timmy said, pressing on through the newfound surge of clarity. "This isn't just an app. It's a movement. One that can transform how we think about attention and learning. I'll create a space for kids to build their confidence in real-world scenarios." Jason shifted, his confidence waning as curiously skeptical eyes turned back to Timmy, now radiating an unmistakable tenacity. The mocking titters dissipated into a charged silence, captivated by the passion emanating from the table. In that charged moment, Timmy felt empowered, not because he had won over Jason or silenced the crowd, but because he had uncovered something profound within himself, his ability to blend empathy with ingenuity. However, as the distraction in the diner gradually simmered down, Timmy caught sight of the tablet neglected on the floor. The chaotic scene had given him a lens into the environment he wished to change, but unintended consequences loomed near. Paradoxically, the very barriers he aimed to break through echoed louder now. As he prepared to leave the booth, resolve cementing his vision, a stranger approached him. "Kid, I overheard what you said. I think you might be onto something. Let us talk." Was this the unexpected breakthrough he needed, or another distraction to grapple with? Timmy felt a knot of uncertainty forming in his stomach as he contemplated his next move. An opportunity and uncertainty hung in the air like fragile threads. Timmy's mind raced, caught between excitement and trepidation. The stranger's unexpected invitation felt like a pivotal moment. Yet Timmy was acutely aware of the weight of opportunity, a burden both exhilarating and terrifying. Who was this person? What did they see in his idea? Sure. Timmy stammered, trying to mask the uncertainty that simmered beneath his skin. It was a moment that could either validate his ambitions or shatter them. He rose from the booth, casting one last glance at the tablet on the floor, as if it were a metaphor for the distractions he sought to address. The stranger gestured toward a quieter corner of the diner. Timmy followed, glancing back at Jason, whose expression had shifted into something oddly contemplative. The smirk was gone, replaced by a glimmer of intrigue. This was not going to be an easy encounter. Timmy felt the intensity of judgment radiating from those around him. "Name is Derek." The stranger introduced himself, extending a firm handshake that spoke of confidence. "I'm an investor, but I'm also a parent. I overheard your passion for this app of yours. I think it has potential." "Thank you," Timmy replied, his voice steadier now. "But it's still just an idea. I haven't even started coding the simulation yet." Derek leaned back, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Ideas are just the beginning, Timmy. What matters is the execution. Tell me more about what you envision." That question ignited a flicker of certainty in Timmy. He spoke rapidly, articulating his vision, each word flowing more easily than before. He described his aim not just to help kids concentrate on academics but to foster social competence, using scenarios that mirrored real-life challenges. Kids face social anxiety, misunderstandings, so much more than adults recognize. They need to navigate those waters safely before being thrown into the deep end. Timmy's hands flew animatedly as he illustrated the interactive elements and adaptive learning pathways. Derek listened intently, nodding occasionally, yet a furrow formed on his brow. "It sounds ambitious, but tell me, what makes you different from existing tools? What's the core feature that sets you apart?" The question hit Timmy like a jolt. He had been so focused on the grand vision that he hadn't drilled down to the fundamentals. His mind raced. What did make this app unique? As he pondered, a memory flickered. The moment of clarity sparked by that chaotic diner scene, of how his own struggles had shaped this vision. "It's the empathy factor," Timmy finally answered, his tone gaining conviction. "I faced distractions, social struggles. I know what kids like me feel. This isn't purely a tech product, it's a lifeline. If kids can see themselves in the simulations, they'll trust them. They will learn. Derek's expression softened. That's a powerful angle. But can you code it? Can you build it? I am learning. But I'm passionate. And I'm willing to work with someone who can guide me, Timmy admitted, a sense of urgency rising in him. If he wanted to make this vision a reality, he needed more than just belief. He needed expertise, mentorship. Passion is great, but it's the action that counts. Let me introduce you to some people, Derek said. But make no mistake, you'll need a solid prototype to truly captivate an investor's interest. Timmy swallowed hard, excitement and anxiety intertwining. This was an opportunity, yet he felt the pressure mounting. Wait, Timmy paused, searching Derek's eyes for sincerity. What's your stake in this? Why are you interested in helping me? Derek's smile returned. As I said, I'm a parent. My son struggles socially too. And if there's a way to create a tool to help others, I'm in. Timmy's heart raced. This was his chance to transform not just an app but lives. Yet the very enormity of the task loomed ahead, threatening to crush him. In that moment, he realized he stood on the precipice of something significant not just for himself, but for countless children who felt just like him. He had to execute. He had to turn his burgeoning vision into a tangible reality. Just as Timmy prepared to respond, a piercing ring cut through the air, his own phone vibrating insistently in his pocket. The call was unknown but urgent. With an intuitive sense that it could either derail him or carve a new path, Timmy hesitated, weighing the importance of the call against this unexpected moment of validation. The tension hung palpably in the air, and he braced himself for what could change everything. Whom would he choose to answer? Would he stick with the allure of potential mentorship or confront whatever tangled thread awaited on the other line? Timmy's pulse quickened as he glanced between Derek and the phone vibrating in his pocket. A direct line to an unraveling chaos or perhaps a beacon of hope. The stakes suddenly felt higher. This was his moment to pivot. Each decision loomed like a weight, and he felt the tension constricting around him. Derek watched him with expectant eyes, as if sensing the battle within. Was he ready to fully engage in this venture? Could he genuinely bring his vision to life beyond the confines of this diner? The idea that someone like Derek believed in him, even momentarily, was intoxicating. Taking a deep breath, he swiped the phone from his pocket, hesitating only a moment longer. As he pressed the button to answer, he stepped into a new territory, a landscape of both possibility and risk. "Hello?" he answered, his voice steadier than he felt. "Timmy, it's me, Jason. You won't believe what just happened." Jason sounded breathless on the other end. Urgency splashed across his words. "What is it?" Timmy replied, trying to keep the annoyance at bay that Jason's interruption had stirred. The smirk that had replaced Jason's face so quickly now echoed in Timmy's thoughts. Did it reflect doubt or camaraderie? "I think I might have found a coder. You know that hackathon I mentioned? The one next week? We could get a team together and it might Jason, that's awesome, but I'm with someone right now." Timmy glanced toward Derek, whose eyebrow raised slightly, curious about the conversation. "Oh right, the investor. Is it going well?" Jason pressed, oblivious to Timmy's struggles or simply not understanding their magnitude. "You could say that," Timmy stated, carefully measuring his words. He didn't want to reveal too much or add unnecessary pressure. "Look, no pressure, but if you're not interested, I want to know now. We could take this somewhere else, I just thought you'd want Jason." Timmy interrupted, his voice sharper than intended. "It's not about being interested. This is a game changer for me. You just caught me in the middle of something big." The urgency hung thick in the air, an unseen tension pulling at him. "Okay, I get it," Jason replied, a hint of disappointment creeping in. "But if you're serious about this, let me know. I'll be at the diner tomorrow." Timmy ended the call, a mix of relief and frustration washing over him. He just stood there, the phone gripped in his hand, searching for balance. As he looked back at Derek, he felt a profound shift within himself. One path led to a possible partnership with an investor, while the other led back to comfort but with less potential. The decision was profound, an unwritten testament to his ambitions. Derek's gaze was steady, and Timmy's heart surged with a new resolve. "I'm sorry about that," he said, shifting gears. "But I want to commit. I want to find the right people to build this app, but I'm scared that I can't manage it all." "Scared is normal, Timmy," Derek replied, his voice calm, reassuring. "The fear expands when we step outside our comfort zones. But remember, entrepreneurship is like sailing. There are storms that will test your mettle, but also winds that will carry you far. Just see your fears as wind against your sails, not a wall that you can't break through." Timmy absorbed the advice, mentally logging it away as a mantra. The next step was clear, yet the storm brewing in his mind couldn't be extinguished so easily. "Can you really help me? I mean, with everything?" The vulnerability flicked through him. Derek leaned forward, eyes gleaming with a shared intensity. "I can connect you, but you have to be ready to step up and make it work. You can juggle many things if you believe in what you're doing." Timmy took a deep breath, the weight of the moment becoming both a challenge and a comfort as it crystallized his focus. There was no turning back. "Okay, let us create something that matters." His voice, now steady and unwavering, resonated with newfound determination. "Let us get to work." Derek smiled, extending a hand, sealing an unspoken promise. But just as Timmy reached for his phone to gather resources, the diner door swung open, and in walked a figure who appeared oddly familiar, a ghost of his past that threatened to shatter the tranquility of this moment. As Timmy's heart sank with recognition, he couldn't fathom what this encounter would mean for his burgeoning dreams. Would this be a distraction, or a confrontation he would have to face head-on? Timmy's breath hitched as he recognized the newcomer, a face he had tried to shake off for years: Alex Carter. In high school, Alex had wielded his charm like a weapon, effortlessly bending people to his will while Timmy swam in the shadows. The past flooded back, dragging a current of insecurities alongside it. "Alex," Timmy breathed, a volley of old wounds flaring up. The usual resentment that simmered beneath the surface of his confidence was suddenly reignited. A tidal wave of doubt crashed over him just as he was beginning to surface. "Timmy, it's been a while." Alex's tone was overly casual, an effortless facade he wore as comfortably as designer suits. He scanned the small diner, taking in its modesty and the chaos of an impending opportunity that Timmy stood at the threshold of. "Still clinging to the dream, I see." Each word struck like a sharpened blade, leaving Timmy momentarily speechless. He felt Derek's scrutiny intensify at his side, a tip of unasked questions suspended in the thick air between them. Was this coincidence or fate? "Actually, I've been working on something big," Timmy replied, his voice more robust than he felt. "And I'm closer than ever to making it happen." "Oh, really?" Alex leaned in, an actor eager for a peek behind the curtain. "And what exactly is this big project? A reunion of the corner shop boys?" His laughter echoed off the diner walls, a taunt veiled as a joke. Timmy's heart raced, a mixture of defiance and anxiety. He had spent years rebuilding his self-esteem, and here was a blast from the past threatening to dismantle it all. But Derek's words resonated in his mind, sailing through storms. It was time to confront his fears. "As an app," Timmy said, voice steadier now, leaning into the moment. "A platform that connects users to their financial opportunities seamlessly." He could feel the walls of his vulnerability harden into resolve as he continued, "And I'm working to put together a team to launch it next week." Alex's measured indifference crumpled slightly, revealing curiosity now. "A team? Do you even know how to code?" The question hung in the air like smoke, confrontational yet enticing. Timmy hesitated, recalling the countless hours of learning he had poured into understanding how technology could empower his vision. Perhaps Jason's enthusiasm connected this very moment. Did he need to justify his capabilities to someone like Alex? "Not yet," he admitted, voice firm. "But I have the drive, and I'm bringing in people who do. That's the spirit. You need that naive confidence to get through. Just don't lose sight. The world doesn't favor the dreamers, Timmy." Alex smirked, subtly shifting the conversation to more familiar territory, dominating it. "You remember how it was, right? The hustle that kept us down in this town? Every nostalgic thought, every bitter memory floated back, threatening to drown him under the weight of old comparisons. Did he really want to let Alex define his journey? Actually, I believe the world does favor those who are willing to try, Timmy countered, surprising himself. Every success story starts with someone deciding to step outside their comfort zone. He watched as Alex's expression shifted from amusement to irritation, brief but telling. For a fleeting moment, Timmy saw the cracks in Alex's facade, the pressure points of someone who thrived on belittling others to build himself up. Bold words, Alex replied, feigning nonchalance yet unable to mask the slight tremor in his voice. So what's your plan if this falls through? A quick return to the diner? Timmy felt his pulse quicken. The threat of old patterns loomed large. Or perhaps a leap toward the next opportunity. Derek shifted beside him, casting a knowing glance that offered a silent vote of confidence. It wasn't just about Alex. Timmy's journey shimmered with possibility, beckoning him forward with the promise of growth, experience, and the unknown. Interesting, Alex said, though Timmy could see the repulsion flicker beneath. Just remember, dreams without execution are just sleep. Don't wake up too late. With that cryptic closure, Alex sauntered away, leaving an unsettling silence in his wake. A sudden clarity filled Timmy as he turned back to Derek. Had he just confronted a ghost or made a real connection between his past fears and present ambitions? The interaction felt like a pivotal moment, one that might have shifted his trajectory away from self-doubt toward action. Wow, Timmy, Derek said, a smile forming slowly on his lips. You held your ground there. I don't think I realized how much I needed to, Timmy responded, the pulse of adrenaline still echoing in his veins. But now, it feels like I can't ignore my voice anymore. His thoughts raced forward. This was just the surface of a deeper dive. They had resources to gather, a team to strengthen, and a world to claim. As Timmy prepared to articulate his next move, the realization settled. Alex's mocking undertone wouldn't deter his ambitions, but would fuel them. And perhaps this encounter was just the beginning. Let us take this to the next level, Derek, he continued, determination radiating with each word. We need to establish a presence online before the hackathon. I want to make a splash. Just as he pulled his phone to organize a plan, the diner door swung open once more, startling them both with the entrance of another unexpected figure. Timmy's heart leaped. Would this second surprise illuminate new paths or expand the chaos of his dreams? The figure that entered was tall, exuding an air of confidence that immediately captivated the diner's attention. Instinctively, Timmy's heart quickened, uncertainty mixed with an unexpected thrill. It was a woman, elegantly dressed, with an unmistakable presence that commanded respect. Her long hair cascaded around her shoulders, and her sharp, intelligent eyes scanned the room, ultimately landing on Timmy and Derek. Is this seat taken? She asked, and there was something in her voice honest, assertive that pulled Timmy in. No, not at all, he managed, motioning to the empty booth across from them. As she slid into the seat, Timmy felt a surprising rush of hope. Perhaps, he considered, this was the kind of serendipity he needed to fuel his project. I heard you talking about an app? She prompted, breaking the awkward silence that had fallen after Alex's departure. Yes, Timmy said, feeling emboldened. It's a platform aimed at connecting users to financial opportunities. I'm putting together a team to launch it next week. He observed her reaction closely, curiosity mixed with interest rather than dismissal. That's ambitious, she replied, nodding.
Sarah.
I actually work with startups, and although it seems unconventional, I think having an outsider perspective can sometimes make all the difference. Timmy's mind raced. An outsider perspective? Here was someone who could genuinely help, and perhaps even challenge him to think differently about his vision. He glanced at Derek, whose expression mirrored his own surprise. Unspoken encouragement shimmered between them. Thank you, Timmy finally said, finding his voice. I'm still figuring out the logistics, though. I'm not a coder, and sometimes I wonder if I'm biting off more than I can chew. First rule of entrepreneurship, Sarah interjected, her gaze unwavering. You have to embrace uncertainty. The moment you stop questioning is the moment you stop growing. Are you underestimating your abilities? Timmy took a breath, feeling the weight of her challenge. It was different from what Alex had done. There was no mockery in Sarah's tone, only a call to examine his doubts more closely. I guess I've always seen myself as someone who is good with ideas, but putting them into practice it's daunting, he confessed, the words floating from his lips before he fully processed them. Your idea has potential, but that potential is useless without execution. What you need now is to surround yourself with people who complement your skill set. What do you envision for your app? The question ignited a mini-storm of thoughts in Timmy. Dark clouds dimmed his optimism, briefly self-doubt festering under the surface, but Sarah's presence illuminated a spark within him. Perhaps this was the opportunity he'd been waiting for. A moment that could tilt the axis of his burgeoning journey. I want it to be accessible, user-friendly, a bridge to resources that people often don't know they have. Timmy replied, the rhythm of his voice matching the urgency building in his chest. Great, let us flesh that out. Sarah's smile ignited a flicker of excitement in Timmy. It was a collaborative energy he hadn't anticipated, someone who saw value in his vision rather than merely taking advantage of it. So how do we start? He asked, sensing that the encounter with Sarah might be a watershed moment. First, let us tackle your target audience, Sarah suggested, leaning forward with interest, her demeanor not just engaging but energizing. Everything hinges on knowing who you're attempting to help. Once we establish that, we can dive into the functionality of the app. People want more than just features, they want solutions. As she outlined a series of questions and objectives, Timmy began to talk strategy openly. Ideas flowed freely, and for the first time they weren't bogged down by insecurities. He could see paths emerging clearly, the fog lifting. But in the middle of the brainstorming, a sudden realization hit Timmy like a jolt. Could he allow himself this moment? This spark of potential? He said, stopping her. Mid-sentence, I may not be a coder, but I'm committed to making this work. Even if it means facing my fears. Good. That's the spirit. As they crafted a rudimentary plan, Timmy couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter could be transformative for him personally but also figureheaded for the app's success. Just then, the bond of their conversation was interrupted again. The door swung open, revealing Alex, flanked by a couple of his old high school friends, all smirking with an air of superiority. Their laughter cut through the heartfelt discussion, and Timmy felt a surge of unease creeping back. Looks like you've found a new audience, Alex taunted, eyes glinting as he surveyed Sarah and then Timmy. What are you plotting now? The next great joke for the comedy club? Timmy felt the air thicken, uncertainty coiling in the pit of his stomach. Would he allow Alex's shadow to loom over this moment, or would he turn the tide? Derek shifted beside him, the challenge clear in his expression. You've got this, Timmy, he whispered, urging him to hold his ground. The choice was before him. Would he embrace the ridicule or rise above it, standing firm in his newfound clarity and resolve? As tension crackled in the air, Timmy's heart raced. What would he decide in that pivotal moment? Could he confront Alex yet again, or would he let the opportunity slip away? Something grand awaited him, but first, he needed to face the ghosts that Alex had dragged back into his present. Timmy's gaze remained locked on Alex. The noise of the diner faded into a dull hum. He sensed Sarah's curiosity shift to concern, a protective instinct emanating from her. This wasn't just a chance encounter anymore. It was a critical junction in a path he had just begun to explore, teetering on the edge between aspiration and insecurity. Why don't you sit down and laugh along? Timmy heard himself say, surprised by the defiance that laced his tone. Excuse me? Alex's brow furrowed, thrown off by his unexpected response. The friends beside him exchanged bewildered glances, clearly unsure how to proceed with this change. Timmy felt a surge of unease battling with his newfound conviction. This wasn't the usual dismissive banter. He feared it was a direct challenge. He shifted slightly, angling his body to face Alex fully. The nerve-wracking moments hung in the air like thick fog, yet underneath it, a thread of determination began to weave through his thoughts. Your jokes don't define me, Alex, he continued, his voice a fraction firmer. I'm here to build something meaningful, not to play the fool. What's your plan? Dismiss me for aiming higher? Derek's supportive presence felt like a warm light illuminating what had previously been overshadowed by doubt. The fear was fading, replaced by a growing sense of clarity. Timmy couldn't shake the feeling that he might be onto something greater, something more profound than mere ambition. Felt personal. Sarah observed quietly, her thoughtful expression lending him strength. She smiled encouragingly, as if to say, "You're doing it." Alex's forced laughter dripped with contempt. "Right, meaningful. You'll probably need a ladder just to reach your dreams, Timmy." But the slight tremor in Alex's voice hinted at unease, a desperation to reassert control in the face of Timmy's confidence. "Maybe I'm building a staircase," Timmy retorted, the words tumbling out with an intensity he didn't know he had. "A path for people who haven't been shown the way." The diner had grown quieter, the previous clamor muffled as diners shifted their attention. For the first time, he felt visible not as the punchline to a joke, but as the architect of his own future. This realization didn't simply thrill him, it served as a catalyst. Timmy could no longer afford to let Alex's mockery erode his self-worth. If he wanted to rise, he had to lift himself out of the shadow cast by the past. "Look," Timmy said, steadying himself with a breath, "I know I still have a lot to learn, but I won't let someone like you derail me anymore. Have your fun, but this is my moment, not yours." Surprisingly, Alex recognized the shift. The glance exchanged between him and his friends revealed doubt. Was it possible they misjudged their former target? Their laughter began to fade, indistinct murmurs of disbelief sweeping through the group. Timmy turned back to Sarah, her exuberance palpable. "So, we should focus on how to make our resources user-friendly and accessible. Let us impact real lives." The conversation shifted back, a gracious return to the world he had begun to build. As he resumed the brainstorming process with Sarah, weaving through practical steps for the app's development, he felt the thrill of purpose coursing through him again. He had confronted not just Alex, but the insecurities that had held him back for too long. Yet even in this newfound clarity, a shadow loomed, a challenge that demanded he commit further. He couldn't help but ponder whether Alex would retreat quietly or would be waiting with a more insidious plan, lurking in the wings. But the pressing question remained. Could he weather the storm, fortify his project, and transform his vision into reality without losing sight of himself, especially now that he had tasted success? The challenge lurked just out of reach, teasing him with uncertainty. One thing was clear. Timmy wasn't done yet. He had ignited a fire that would only grow brighter with the right kindling. And he felt the pressure to prove his vision wasn't merely a spark but a burgeoning flame ready to set the world ablaze. As Alex rolled his eyes and stalked away, the lingering tension left Timmy wondering how far would he have to go to fully embrace this newfound identity? And more importantly, what definitive steps would he take next to turn his ambition into lasting change? The diner hummed with a new energy as Timmy, bathed in the warm glow of possibility, turned back to Sarah and Derek. He felt rejuvenated, shaking off the remnants of self-doubt like autumn leaves caught in a brisk wind. Each passing moment solidified his resolve. He wasn't just a kid with dreams. He was someone with a vision ready for execution. As the diner's chatter shifted back to its usual rhythm, Timmy could sense a palpable shift in the air. Sarah leaned in closer, her eyes gleaming with encouragement. "Let us chart out a plan," she suggested. "What do we need to do to get your app off the ground?" Timmy's heart raced with the thrill of urgency, his ideas cascading forth like water from a burst dam. "Firstly, we need a prototype," he began, his voice firm, "and we have to map out exactly what features everyone will find valuable." He could see the wheels in Sarah's mind turning, her excitement mirroring his own. Derek nodded approvingly, taking notes as Timmy talked. "You already know what your users need. Focus on that and we can build together." Timmy felt the sweet rush of momentum, a stark contrast to the suffocating self-doubt he had constantly battled. He was finally stepping into a role he could own. In the past, he had been afraid of judgment, afraid of what others thought. But now, standing tall in the midst of adversity, he realized that the opinions of those like Alex did not define his worth. With renewed motivation, they established a timeline. Timmy laid out the app functions, tutorials tailored for kids with learning difficulties, real-life scenarios to practice social cues, and a reward system to foster engagement. The strategy took shape, lining the walls of their minds with a tangible outline of progress. "Let us recruit coders who share our vision," Sarah proposed, and Timmy's face lit up. "I know a few in town we can reach out to. Maybe even some from my school." Derek smiled, and as the conversation shifted to networking and outreach, Timmy felt the familiar flutter of anxiety begin to settle. Instead of being consumed by fear of rejection, it transformed into excitement over the prospect of collaboration and growth. Hours flew by as they brainstormed and schemed. Eventually, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a gentle flush across the diner windows, he realized this was more than just an app. It was an opportunity to connect, transform lives, and redefine his narrative. The pieces were falling into place. He was no longer an observer in his life but an active participant charting a course. "I want to present our idea at the hackathon next week," Timmy declared, heart hammering with both fear and eagerness. "Absolutely," Derek agreed. "That's a fantastic platform to gain visibility and potentially connect with investors. The future relies on innovators like us." Sarah chimed in, her enthusiasm contagious. Timmy glanced up, gathering affirmations from their encouraging expressions. It began dawning on him that he was about to embark on a journey that would stretch beyond any boundaries he had once perceived. In the days leading up to the hackathon, Timmy felt the exhilarating rush of freedom that came from hard work, teamwork, and tangible progress. They built the prototype together, evening after evening spent coding, refining, and brainstorming. He managed to juggle meetings with Derek and collaboration with high school coders who shared his passion. They gathered in that diner, surrounded by grease-slicked tables and murmurs of encouragement from patrons who began to recognize Timmy's face. Instead of being the unnoticed child in the background, he was the protagonist of his own story, surrounded by supporters who believed in the weight of his dreams. As the hackathon drew near, Timmy's once timid heart now pulsed with solid confidence. Nothing would unravel him now, not even Jason's earlier arrogance nor Alex's jeers. He understood power lay in collaboration, empathy, and persistence. The skepticism of the past had morphed into glowing embers of expectation. Finally, the night of the hackathon arrived, and the energy in the room was electric. Timmy stood on stage, his heart racing as he faced an audience of peers and investors. The spotlight illuminated his face, and for a brief moment, he felt the weight of his journey pulse through him. Every doubt, every fear had led to this very moment. As he shared his vision, recounted the hurdles he'd overcome, and presented the prototype of his app, he felt a wave of recognition wash over him. The audience was captivated, reacting to the genuine passion displayed. Jason, seated among the spectators, leaned forward, intrigue flickering across his features as he recognized Timmy's resolve. But it was the confidence of the audience that struck him most. By the end of his presentation, wild applause echoed through the halls, and when the judges announced their support for his app, Timmy felt a swelling tide of vindication. He had not only conquered doubt, he had showcased the power of resilience and the importance of believing in oneself. Through that transformative process, Timmy had conquered far more than the mockery of an arrogant billionaire. He had found his voice, his purpose, and his unwavering strength. With each accomplishment, he demonstrated that success thrives on authenticity and courage, paving the way for an exciting future, one that brimmed with potential and promises yet to be fulfilled. This was the culmination of a defining moment that transformed not just his idea into reality but himself into the confident innovator he had always aspired to be. And just as he stood victorious, he knew there was something greater waiting on the horizon, something that required action once more. Now, he could share his journey's lessons with others, ready to challenge their limits and soar higher than they ever dreamed. So, I urge you, the audience, this is your moment. You need to subscribe now to witness journeys of transformation like Timmy's unfold. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every click matters in the digital realm. comment your reactions and theories about Timmy's remarkable comeback. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who, like Timmy, need a reminder that their dreams are within reach. Your support fuels these stories of achievement. Join us as we embark on the next chapter of personal overcoming. They're just around the corner.